They said she stopped aging, that no illness could touch her, no enemy could defeat her, and that deep inside the palace, behind locked doors, she made a deal that no ruler should ever make. A deal for absolute power. But here's the question historians still whisper about. Was she protected by something supernatural, or was she simply the most dangerous woman who ever lived? Long before she became a legend, she was just a woman in a world that didn't want her to rule. Born into a powerful but deeply patriarchal empire, she wasn't meant to lead. She was meant to marry, to obey, to disappear into the background of history. But she didn't. From a young age, she watched the court closely, learning its secrets, its alliances, its betrayals. She understood something most nobles ignored. Power wasn't inherited. It was taken. The palace was a maze of whispered deals and hidden enemies. Ministers plotted behind silk curtains. Generals pledged loyalty until it was convenient not to. And in that world, she did something unthinkable. She refused to stay invisible. When she entered the royal court, she didn't just survive. She adapted. She listened more than she spoke. She remembered everything. And slowly she began to climb. But there was one problem. No matter how intelligent, how strategic, how ruthless she became, she was still a woman. And in that empire, that alone could destroy her. Everything changed the night the emperor died. Suddenly, the palace turned into a battlefield, not with swords, but with secrets. Powerful families moved instantly, each trying to place their own puppet on the throne. And she was surrounded. Allies vanished overnight. Friends turned into informants. Even the servants began whispering her name. With fear, there are records of what happened next, but they don't all agree. Some say she was betrayed by someone she trusted most. Others claim she discovered a plot to have her quietly executed before sunrise. And then there are the darker accounts. Stories written decades later, dismissed by historians, but never fully forgotten. They speak of a hidden chamber beneath the palace, of robed figures, of rituals that were never meant to be performed within royal walls. Because that night, she stopped playing the game and chose to control it. After that night, everything changed. Her enemies didn't just lose influence. They disappeared, one by one. A general fell suddenly ill, dead within days. A rival noble was found guilty of treason, based on evidence no one could verify. A powerful minister simply vanished, his entire household erased from record. Coincidence? Or something else? Servants began telling stories. They claimed the Empress no longer slept, that lights burned in her chambers long after midnight, that strange figures were seen entering but never leaving. And then came the whispers that she had made a deal, not with foreign power, not with a rival kingdom, but with something far older, far darker. Of course, historians reject this. They argue she was simply brilliant, calculated, ruthless, that she understood fear better than anyone else, and used it like a weapon. But still, there's one detail they can't explain. From that point on, she never lost. At the height of her reign, the empire transformed. Rebellions were crushed before they began. Laws became absolute, and loyalty was no longer optional. Inside the palace, fear replaced ambition. No one spoke freely. No one moved without permission. Even the highest officials avoided meeting her eyes, because those who did often didn't last long. Yet outside the palace, the people saw something different. Stability, strength, a ruler who brought order to chaos. And that made her even more dangerous, because now she wasn't just feared, she was necessary. But the rumors never stopped. People said she hadn't aged in years, that her reflections sometimes didn't match her movements, that animals refused to come near her, that the palace itself felt wrong. And still, no one dared challenge her, because by then, it was too late. Then, as suddenly as her rise, she was gone. No public illness, no long decline, just an announcement. The Empress was dead. But even her death raised questions. Her tomb, sealed and never opened, her body, never publicly displayed, and the records, strangely incomplete, almost as if someone wanted parts of her story erased. But the strangest detail of all, in the years after her death, several officials claimed to see her, not in dreams, not in stories, but walking the palace halls late at night, unchanged, unaged, watching. Historians call a myth, exaggeration, the natural distortion of a powerful woman's legacy. But others aren't so sure, because if her rise was built on something unnatural, who's to say the deal ever ended? So the question remains, did she really sell her soul for power? Or did she simply become something far more terrifying? A ruler who needed no supernatural help at all?